Hello and welcome to part 2 of the empty-handed techniques of Savate, or French kickboxing. Now we're going to look at reverse debuff. Reverse debuff, you saw the first baff movements, the clouts, the slaps, forward, forward, or round, round, depending on if I'm far away. I can do these forward projecting ones with some power. And if I'm close up, I can do these circular ones, as long as I've got some degree of attachment on clothing or the human. Okay. The reverse debuff is essentially the backhanded version. Now, with these, I like to still aim with the knuckles. So although I'm slapping, I'm not using this soft bit, I'm still using the hard knuckles, albeit not turning into a fist. I'm still using the tough knuckle part of the hand. Now, this is essentially a backhanded slap. But the best way to use this, I found, is off a parry. So if you imagine if a shot comes in, I might parry it with this hand, then with that same hand, launch that labaff, and it's a whipping motion, striking along the jawline, along the nose, anywhere on those hard bony bits of the face. I can parry and then whip this up, parry and whip it up, parry and whip it up, parry and whip it up. And again, this one is coming broadly horizontally, boom, like so. So going from right to left or left to right, and they work quite well. And again, make sure you're turning your hips and your feet with it. So I parry, boom. I really commit to that blow, putting all my body weight into cracking you with this backhand. Same the other way around. And again, bear in mind that it's more powerful further away we go, the less powerful it gets. So it's something in kind of mid-range. If I'm here with the opponent, I've parried his blow, I might throw this before I throw a punch. As you can see, so the baff reverse. Another way, which I think is really effective, is instead of going left to right or right to left, do a diagonal blow, like so. So it comes diagonally downwards with the dropping of the weight. So same deal, I do a parry, I drop the weight, and then I lift the weight up to drop it down again. So it's a heavy backhanded dropping motion. So parry, baff reverse, parry, baff reverse, parry, baff reverse. I find you get a lot more power off that blow, but again, whether it's here or it's round, either way, it's a good, powerful, injurious blow. Now we're going to look at la tranche. La tranche is essentially the chop, and we discussed some of this in the videos previously. Again, I prefer the version that we drive forward and we use the edge almost like a punch. So we've got this train style motion, chop, return, keeping our elbow to our sides in some degree of discipline, not flaring it out, keeping it forward. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I'm here. A nice even Michel Pessieu Savate stance. 1, 2, and again using this on the neck, bridge of the nose, collarbone. You can use it against biceps and arms, so you can use it defensively against shots coming in. But I would agree, or I would recommend that if you are doing that, do it in almost a moulinet motion. So if you are doing it 1, 2, something powerful, don't just rely on the ability to do one, keep them motoring. So if you're using it for defense, I would move in multiples before you start throwing other shots. Move those tranches in multiples and make sure you always come back to a guard. Keep the circle small. You do need some degree of circling, but keep that as limited as possible. Don't drop it down on the way back. Small train-like motion keeps you nice and safe. So those are the tranche blows. You can use them against strikes coming in which case I'd recommend multiples, or at long range like a lead shot. If you're going up close range, much like the baff, if I've got a connection, I can start to belt in these more horizontal shots here. So again, la tranche can be done this way. So if I've got an attachment at the back of the head or a lapel, it's too close for me to do a long la tranche. I turn my hips like I would a hook. In this case, I'm inverted striking. Nice, easy. You can fire the tranche like this. I find that this is very weak and very hard to pull off with accuracy or power, so I don't really recommend it. When I look at la tranche, I look at the forward projecting ones here, straight into the neck, or when up close, these sideways shots. Again, I like this with an attachment because I can be more accurate, I can be more damaging with my tranche blows. Then we're going to look at the marteau. The marteau is essentially a hammer fist. So again, with this you might want to combine it with something you've seen so far. So you might combine this with your lame musette, but your push version. So if we're a bit close, I might use my lame musette, then do my marteau, my hammer. Again, making sure that I use, I don't want this gap here. I don't want to hit this little finger. I want to use essentially this hard bit here. It's essentially exactly the same as a chop, but coming down. I'm using this hard bit here. I'm dropping my body weight with it. My body weight drops down in some degree of lunge. Both my knees go down. All of my mass culminates in this. So in this combination, we do a lame musette to get the range, bang, into a marteau, bang, yeah. The nice thing about this is when people are pushed, they tend to want to come back to the place they started with because they feel psychologically they've lost ground. So if I push you back with this, or I make you flinch back, normally you're going to come back into that space. So if I've done this, you've gone back a bit, as soon as you come back into that space, I'm going to crack you with this marteau, this hammer strike. Boom, from here. Finally, we're going to look at the crochet à la Charlemagne. So Professor Charlemagne, he was essentially a Victorian era gentleman at arms, and he was a good fencer, stick fighter, boxer, Savate. And he had quite unorthodox ways of throwing the hook. So in his version, we've got quite a long, exaggerated hook, which comes around and hits with this part of the fist. So this knuckle, bits of the thumb knuckle, and they all come round and fit nicely into this pocket behind the ear or on the jaw. So in his version, you might have done a parry, then with a long straight arm, fired this shot in. Done a parry, long straight arm, fired this shot in. This is quite good because imagine this is your opponent's guard. It tends to collapse the guard pretty well. So if they've got a tight guard, it can tend to wrap and hit really well. It can crush or knock out the way tight boxing defense, and it can also lead you to some very good grappling opportunities. And that if I can crack this around the head, I've then got a grapple with which to do other nasty things, either standing up or on the ground. So in the crochet, the hook à la Charlemagne, so Charlemagne style of Charlemagne style of hook, we come round and we fire this shot in here. We come round. You can use it offensively, so it works quite well after an evasion. I might evade and then come back, or I might parry and then fire it in. I prefer it as a counter-fighting tool as opposed to a straight offense tool. Typically it's better off an evasion, a slip, or a parry. So crochet à la Charlemagne, again, turn the hips, turn the shoulder, turn the foot, exactly with the normal hook, albeit slightly at longer range. Another added benefit of this is obviously if I miss with the fist, and that's a pretty solid unit, that top of the fist, if I miss with it, I'll also clock you with the forearm, which is more painful. So again, even if I don't quite get the range of this is going to hurt you. I always teach better to aim as if you're going to hit them with the forearm, because most people are pretty good at getting out of the way. So if I judge it that I'm going to hit you with the forearm, by the time you've slipped back a bit, I've hit you with the fist. So I give myself a little bit of time and room for you to lean back so I can clock you with the fist. If you're not fast enough and I get you with the forearm, good night to you. So the crochet à la Charlemagne. You also have a reverse version. So essentially a turning version of this blow. So I might parry with my lead hand from here, parry my lead hand, turn, and then fire like so. So like a reverse hammer fist. So it's essentially the opposite of his first crochet. So first crochet, boom, comes in here, boom, comes in there. His reverse version, a parry has to happen. I will turn, keep my eye on you, turn, keep my eye on you, then fire that shot. So done fluidly, I can get that parry, bang, and I can hit that shot in. I can turn and do a reverse or spinning version of that particular crochet. Another nice trick you can do with this, as opposed to just going horizontally with Charlemagne's crochet, is to do a diagonal version. Now these work well with a piece of Savate footwork called a décalage. Essentially, diagonal stepping offline. So if you imagine I step offline and I fire a more diagonal Charlemagne crochet. I step offline at the blow, so the blow's here, and I come over the arm and drive this straight down. Boom. Boom. So that's another way you can use Savate's Charlemagne crochet in a way that's good and combative. So again, that's the normal version. I step offline and then come diagonally down. Again, remembering to sink your weight down. Think about hitting with the forearm or the fist. Boom! So, those are some of the techniques from Savate's empty-handed syllabus. You'll notice lots of open hand techniques, lots of slaps, chops, pushes. It's a nautical system, so very popular with sailors and people that work in maritime industries. That means you need delicate hands for tying knots, fixing, rigging, doing things. So in reality, keeping those shots open with open hands, it's quite good. You get to keep good hand health and you can do your day job very well. Obviously there are normal boxing techniques in Savate, and the later the Savate goes, the more you see boxe anglais, traditional pugilism, bare knuckle boxing with the kicks of Savate. But especially in earlier Savate, you see a lot more the open hand techniques, which are really conducive to keeping your hands safe and also some degree of grappling. So I hope you find that useful. If you've got any questions or you'd like to see anything else, just let me know. Thank you.